Gypsy Rose Blanchard can't pay her rent. It appears now that Gypsy Rose's show has ended and she is no longer getting a check from Lifetime. She's going broke. Now, I have a source who is telling me that Gypsy Rose has not yet paid her rent this month, and the landlord isn't happy. Through this source, close to the landlord, I hear that Gypsy Rose is living in a house right outside of New Orleans. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, $2,500 a month. However, she may need to consider downsizing because this isn't the first time Gypsy has been late on the rent. According to my source close to the landlord of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the landlord has warned her before about being late on the rent. However, today, the rent is still unpaid and she is not responding to her landlord about paying it. Now, all of this comes as Ken Urker apparently doesn't have a job, still. And Gypsy Rose, however, was the primary breadwinner in the family because even if he did work as a busboy at a restaurant, that would not pay for the $2,500 a month rent for their 3-bedroom home. Is Gypsy Rose close to financial disaster now that she is no longer getting paid by Lifetime and has exhibited her poor money management skills? And do you think her landlord will have enough and evict her for continuously being late on the rent? Let me know in the comments and make sure to drop a follow for more.
I just found out that Gypsy Rose Manson's book, My Time to My Time to Stand, has been nominated for a Clue Award at CrimeCon this weekend. We have to email them like today and let them know this book cannot be honored because it would be glamorizing a convicted murderer. It normalizes the idea that a killer can profit off their crime. And it risks copycat killers who see murder as a path to fame, not to mention all the newly released evidence that clearly contradicts her Munchausen abuse narrative. You can also go to clueawards.com/nominees, and there is a contact tab right there at the top that will take you to a form you can fill out, and you can get the message to them that way as well.
First up, the money mess. Word on the street is Gypsy and Ken are flat out broke, like digging for coins in the couch broke. Despite renting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home outside of New Orleans for a whopping $2,500 a month, the rent is allegedly past due and the landlord is not having it. Apparently, this isn't even the first time Gypsy's fallen behind. She's allegedly dodging landlord calls like they're spam telemarketers. Fans can't help but ask, where did all that Lifetime money go? And what about that trust fund people swore was worth around $300,000 when she walked out of prison? Some say her dad Rod and stepmom Christy are still the ones holding the purse strings, which might explain why Gypsy is suddenly crying poor on social media. One moment she's moaning about needing $60 for baby formula, the next she's dropping cash on random luxuries. It's giving financial cosplay, and not the fun kind. Even the tiniest detail, like Christy reportedly having to remind Gypsy to plug in her phone before it dies, is raising eyebrows. If she can't keep a charger under control, how's she supposed to juggle overdue rent? Now, let's pivot to Ken. Phew. Gypsy's on again, off again, but mostly off a fiancé has been the center of a rumor tornado. The whispers? He might be in rehab. A live stream back in late July set this off, with people swearing he looked out of it, slurring, stumbling, denying substance issues, but not exactly selling sobriety. Days later, he shaved his head, disappeared from Instagram and TikTok, and the gossip mill exploded. Some even claim CPS drug tests came back dirty, and that's what pushed him into rehab. But others are insisting he's still roaming around Louisiana like nothing happened, so now it's all speculation on whether he's in some inpatient program, outpatient program, or just ghosting the internet. And if Ken isn't bringing in much cash, rumors say busboy tips at best. It could explain why Gypsy is suddenly scrambling to make ends meet. She's supposedly leaning hard on her blown beauty art business, but that's turned into its own circus. People online accused her of stealing a TikTok video showing custom-painted Tangled shoes, reposting it on a blown beauty art page like it was hers. Fans even found an account with nearly 6,000 followers racking up tens of thousands of views off content that wasn't original. And the cherry on top? Some buyers say they paid for her pieces and got nothing in return, no paintings, no refunds, nada. But wait, it gets even messier. Christy, who has been doing her own art for years and, according to fans, produces way better work, is rumored to have started clashing with Gypsy over the whole thing. Some say Christy was the one who suggested Gypsy try painting in the first place, while others claim Ken has been signing Gypsy's canvases too, leaving people confused about who's actually creating them. Meanwhile, social media has been whispering about something spookier: cursed paintings. Yes, cursed. A handful of buyers are claiming weird things started happening in their homes after hanging Gypsy's art. Strange noises in the middle of the night, unsettling vibes, the whole 9 yards. Whether it's coincidence or Gypsy's so-called haunted aura at work, people are eating it up. Then comes the baby drama. At first, Gypsy seemed to be flaunting motherhood online, showing glimpses of a baby on TikTok lives, though always with the face hidden. But lately? Crickets. No baby updates, no growth pictures, no nothing. Fans are side-eyeing hard, with some suggesting the pregnancy storyline was cooked up to keep her reality show from tanking. Conspiracy theorists even think the baby she showed could have been a doll or someone else's kid. Throw in the rumors that Christy may have leaked baby photos without Gypsy's blessing, and you've got the perfect recipe for a family feud. And just when you think it couldn't get more chaotic, Gypsy herself starts talking about the supernatural. She's claimed to hear her late mother Dee calling her name at night, waking up from nightmares in a panic. She's even admitted she touches her hair or scar to ground herself, except, oops, she recently shaved her head, making that coping strategy questionable. Add in her ever-changing version of Dee's last words, and fans are starting to wonder if this is grief, guilt, or just another storyline to keep her audience hanging on. Meanwhile, her ex-husband Ryan Anderson is lurking in the background, tossing shade like confetti. He's gone live, taking swipes at Ken, hinting that he's not actually in rehab but maybe somewhere else, a psychiatric facility, or as Reddit gossipers love to suggest, something even more offbeat. Ryan's digs are heavy on innuendo and light on proof, but that hasn't stopped him from trying to paint himself as the better man. And that brings us right back to Gypsy's ever-changing story about her late mother, Dee Blanchard, because honestly, her narrative has been flipping faster than a bad reality show edit. 1 minute, Dee was this devoted, misunderstood mom who Gypsy claimed she mourned deeply. She painted herself as the grieving daughter, broken, traumatized, clinging to that image of a mother who, despite everything, was still her world. But then? Boom. She allegedly spun it the complete opposite way, casting Dee as a monster, coldly calling her by her first name instead of a mom, stripping away that emotional tie for shock value. It's like Gypsy couldn't decide whether to cry in the corner about losing her mom or cash in on being the survivor of a villain. And don't forget Nick Gojon, her partner in the infamous crime. At first, she shared the blame, almost like they were co-authors of the same tragedy. But as soon as the spotlight shifted, she allegedly threw Nick under the bus, insisting it was all his idea, his plan, his crime. No waterboarding, no manipulation, just him. The way she allegedly flipped that script? Lightning fast. Why skip over those details now? Because speculatively, she can't spin it anymore. It's too obvious, too messy, and fans have already clocked her on it. Ever since her parole ended, the alleged spiral has been even harder to ignore. With no handlers, no filters, and no producers reining her in, she's been hopping on lives and ranting in ways that feel more incriminating than sympathetic. She'll casually address TikTok chatter about her art flopping or her messy love life, but that one narrative, the mother she helped kill, the shifting blame, that's the one thing she dodges. Allegedly because she knows she's already botched it in the public eye. And here's the kicker, flashback to some of those old letters that fans dug up. In them, Gypsy was gushing about Ryan Anderson, her ex-husband. She praised him like he was a knight in shining armor. Through quarantines, COVID lockdowns, her time in the hole for reasons she never explained, Ryan losing his job because of their relationship, visitation bans caused by her own recklessness, she wrote about how it all strengthened them. She painted their love like it was battle-tested, walls coming down, her finally letting herself be vulnerable. No wigs, no filters, no dentures, just her raw, messy, makeup-free self. But here's where the tea scalds. Allegedly, Ken Urker never got to see that raw, stripped-down version of Gypsy. With him, it was all surface, hair, filters, curated vibes. That contrast alone screams a pattern. With Ryan, she built up a narrative of intimacy and trust, until, allegedly, she cheated and got pregnant with another man's baby. That betrayal didn't just end a marriage, it speculatively confirmed the cycle: Gypsy builds, then she destroys. At the heart of it, gossipers say Gypsy is mentally unstable and drowning in identity crises. She doesn't know who she is, or worse, she hates who she is. Over the past year and a half, she's reinvented herself more times than a pop star on tour, new hair, new style, new persona, like a chameleon dodging its own reflection. And while she'll call it a self-expression, insiders whisper it's really evasion. Allegedly, she's trying to slip into roles that shield her from facing her truth, that beyond her infamous crime, she's shallow, predictable, and painfully mediocre. The wigs, the shaved head, the constant switching, it's all allegedly regression. A cry for the old manipulation tactics that once worked. Back then, shaving her head got her sympathy, attention, power, but now it reads desperate. Because life post-prison isn't bending to her theatrics. Sympathy is harder to scam. And yet, instead of her family stepping in to get her real psychiatric help, the gossip says they're ignoring the red flags, letting her spiral back into the same old patterns. Every TikTok, every Instagram live, it's allegedly not Gypsy the person, it's Gypsy the performance. New filters, new wigs, new staged, candid moments. Fans said one of her latest wig shots looked better than her old maternity or Jazz Fest blondes, which aged her awkwardly, but even then, it wasn't style. It was struggle. An alleged attempt to erase herself, to dodge the mirror, to avoid who she really is. And then there's the jealousy front. Gypsy went live, claiming she's finally over envying her half-sister Mia. She framed it as personal growth, like, see guys, I'm not bitter anymore, I've matured. She even mentioned her old triggers, Mia's prom nights, cheerleading gigs, dad's affection. But speculatively, it's not growth. It's disillusionment. Up close, that fantasy of Mia's perfect life cracked. The reality was messier. Rod allegedly wasn't the doting dad Gypsy once painted him to be, he distanced himself by choice. Christy wasn't the saintly stepmom she imagined, just another human juggling her own chaos. Hospital runs, family drama, everyday burdens, normal stuff DD, for all her faults, actually handled with fierce commitment. But Gypsy? She allegedly rebranded those realities into more victim points. For years, Gypsy has sold the story of DD being this iron-fisted warden who chained her away from every shot at happiness. According to Gypsy, her mom wouldn't let her text friends, couldn't stand the idea of her dating, and flat out destroyed any dream she had of love or motherhood. To hear Gypsy tell it, her romance with Nick Gojon was doomed from the start because DD supposedly hated him. She's been quoted basically saying, "Mom's never gonna let me be happy," painting DD as the ultimate villain blocking her fairy tale ending. But here's the plot twist no one expects, receipts floating around hint at something way different. Neighbors and old acquaintances claimed DD wasn't against Nick at all. In fact, she allegedly flaunted their relationship, bragging about how smitten Gypsy was and making sure her daughter looked picture perfect whenever Nick came around. They say DD lit up with pride when talking about them, like a mother thrilled her daughter had found love. At that time, Gypsy was 19, Nick was 26, and far from forbidding it, DD supposedly encouraged it. That doesn't exactly match the caged bird story Gypsy pushes now. And then, of course, there's that moment, the diaper at the movies fiasco that Nick himself spilled about later. Gypsy never brings it up, never slips it into her narrative. Why? Because it doesn't fit the victim script. She'd rather we all scrub it from memory and pretend it didn't exist. Convenient, right? But the bigger question is whether Gypsy has been carefully rearranging her past to keep control of the story. Some gossip sleuths think she's deliberately re-editing her own history, slicing out anything that doesn't fit the tragic heroine angle. And if that's true, then everything we've been fed is less memoir and more marketing. Here's where things get chilling. Fans have noticed a weird pattern of Gypsy reenacting her crime through subtle details in her life. Like in prison, she allegedly dreamed out loud about having a Star Wars-themed nursery for a son she wanted to name Merlin. Strange? Sure. But creepier when you realize that in her own book, she describes the last night with DD, watching the show Merlin and painting their nails cotton candy pink just before the murder. Naming a baby after that? Feels less like coincidence and more like a macabre tribute, and it doesn't stop there. Court watchers swear she wore a plain gray sweatshirt during Nick's trial. Fast forward to her TikTok pregnancy reveal, and she spotted in, wait for it, a nearly identical gray sweatshirt. Coincidence, or Gypsy slipping in Easter eggs for her cult of followers? Some fans even split her artwork into before crime versus after crime eras, claiming she's obsessed with building her identity around that single night. It's like she's writing her own ongoing crime saga, one outfit and one post at a time. Then there's Ryan Anderson, the ex-husband still clearly licking his wounds. Recently, he popped up on a live stream, and while he looked bruised and bitter, what grabbed attention was the line he dropped, "I'm not gonna give it all away on TikTok Live." Translation? He's holding something. And given he was her closest ally in prison, then her husband when she got out, no one else is sitting on the kind of secrets he's got. Word is, Ryan could spill everything, from behind the bars gossip to the breakdown of their marriage, if the timing, or paycheck, is right. And people are whispering that a man with no job, no love, and a lot of resentment might just cash in. Meanwhile, shady threads keep surfacing online about Ken, cheating whispers, hookup claims, even talk of him on apps like Grindr. But here's where the conspiracy thickens. Some people swear these rumors didn't come from random strangers. They think Gypsy herself planted them to stir drama, control the spotlight, and keep fans buzzing. No evidence, just vibes, but let's be real, it wouldn't exactly be shocking. And that's the scoop for today, y'all. Gypsy's saga just keeps getting wilder, and honestly, I don't think the circus is slowing down anytime soon. What do you think? Is she masterminding her own drama, or is this just pure chaos on autopilot? Drop your theories in the comments, spill your tea, and let's keep this conversation messy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell so you don't miss the next chapter of this roller coaster. Until then, stay tuned, because the tea's only getting hotter.